My name is Francis. I also go by Mamitan. I work for Good Smile Company. And here we're going to talk about figure collecting and Good Smile Company stuff. And we're going to have some fun.
Yeah!
We also have, thank you guys. Thank you so much. We also have joining with us my good friend Charles, who is with another company, ORZ Cosplay. They make amazing stuff, and we're going to show you some of their stuff. My amazing Hinata cosplay is all Charles.
Charles!
He's awesome. You see me from now on in any cosplay. It's like, oh, it's all Fine Horse. They're amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about them at the end of the panel because Fine Horse is amazing and everyone needs to know who they are. Okay, so quickly let's get started in figure collecting. Again, with my introduction, I'm a Good Smile Company, and I like showing this photo. This is like one of the first times I got to go to Japan with the company, and then they do this big group photo, all the staff, and I'm like in the front row with like Little Mermaid pants, and like, I don't know if you can see, yeah. It's like the bright colored like blue pants because I'm a crazy person. I'm like, I'm gonna wear Little Mermaid pants to work. And they're like, okay, that's how we'll find you. I've been working for Good Smile for 2 years and some change.
Yeah!
It is amazing. They are like the best to work for. They totally get me and I get them, so it works really well. This expensive hobby, I've been collecting for eight years now, I think. I don't know how to count. I think it's like 8 years.
How much you spend for this?
You know, according to my figure collection, they have like a little tally. You can like write up every figure you own, and then it shows, I think you have to turn your mic on, by the way. I don't know if it's on.
I think it's on.
Okay, it's on. You can like tally up every figure you own. I own already over 600 figures.
Yeah!
My whole apartment is just figures everywhere. At this point, it's like you walk into my bathroom and there's anime figures. So one of these days, you're gonna like open up my fridge and there's gonna be like a Yoko Nindroid. And you're gonna be like, okay, I guess that's where it goes. Actually, no, the Elsa Nindroid. She'd go in the freezer. Right?
Yeah, that's a good way.
But last I checked, it said that I spent like almost like 50 grand on figures. But I haven't actually spent that much because I'm really good at finding deals and really good at pre-ordering. And then, admittedly,
You also resell stuff, right?
I also will resell stuff every once in a while. Like sometimes you gotta like prune your collection. You decide like, oh, I have so many figures. Okay, I need space for more. I don't love this figure so much anymore compared to this figure. So you can sell them out later. So there's a whole bunch of figure companies. We're not just going to talk about Good Smile Company. We're going to talk about everybody because one of the things that I love about this fandom is that everybody likes working together. We as Good Smile Company work with so many other companies. This isn't one of those fandoms or like industries. Industry is better than the word, not fandom. This isn't one of those industries where people are like, you work for that company and I hate you and we're not going to work together. On the contrary, we're like, hey, let's make everything. And it's awesome. And so we get to work with a lot of these amazing companies. And, there's some of them have been around for years now. It's crazy. Good Smile's been around for over 10 years now. So that's been awesome now that I'm like a part of that. I love them. So there's all sorts of type of figures. They range definitely in price, so kind of starting off in the lower end here, we'll start with like trading figures. These are some older Nindroid petites. Nindroids are a line from Good Smile Company where they're like these chibi little guys with little big heads. We have a set here on display, for example, as well. And then also these figures on the table. I'll be giving these away at the end of the show.
Yeah!
So don't leave. So Nindroid petites, when they sell them in like blind boxes, they'll generally go maybe like $5-6 a pop retail. Sometimes they get a little harder to find, so you find them a little more expensive at the con. I've seen like Miku Nindroid petites for like $12 a pop, and I'm like, oh, that's tough. That's like more than double the price, but okay, I still need it. So one of the definitely things that we'll talk about is pre-ordering and how you can pre-order figure and then make sure that you get it at the lowest price, which is why I have so many figures, because I pre-order everything. You also have, again, more different types of trading figures. These will be, they'll still be like teeny little guys. They maybe will be a little bit more realistic in their like proportions. And then they'll make all sorts of various characters. So these ones will be a little cheaper sometimes, easier to find. Generally, like in Japan, you can get these like, sometimes they'll have like claw machines, sometimes they'll have like a gumball machine kind of deal, and you stick in like 200 yen and you get a figure, and it's like, sweet, I've got a figure for less than like $2. Then again, moving on, we have Nindroids. This is another line by Good Smile Company. These guys are amazing because they have interchangeable faces, interchangeable arms, interchangeable legs. And then one of the fun things that the Nindroid line has been pretty consistent with over the past like 300 ones that they've made. We're at like 400, yeah, so like 300. You can like interchange faces between them. So like I like to tease my friends with my Nindroid. So like I have like a Haruhi Nindroid. My friend is obsessed with Haruhi, like Haruhi Suzumiya. And so I took her head and I put it on a different character's body that she's like tied up in bondage. And then I put like a crying face on her and then like a mask like she's gagged. And so my friend's like, you're torturing Haruhi. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
That's always a fun thing to do, where like, you see Miku's really upset face. You could like take that face and, maybe put it on Elsie. So they're all interchangeable and it's really fun. That's one of the huge benefits of the Nindroid line. You'll see a Nindroid and you'll be like, I don't know what it's from, but that face needs to go on like my Link Nindroid, and I'm buying it, and I've done that, and it's amazing. These ones, the prices range depending on the amount of option parts. So some of them will come with less option parts, and some of them will come with more. So for example, we have Nindroid Chariot with tank, and she's got like a whole like tank that like she sits on. And it's amazing, and because she comes with that, like she'd be a little bit like on a pricier scale. So maybe Nindroids might range normally for about like $35. She might retail about $65 because she comes with so many various option parts. And one of the things that we try to do with Good Smile is that we won't lower the quality just to keep the price down. We'll be like, okay, we're gonna give you more stuff with it, and yeah, it's gonna be a little more expensive, but look at all the stuff you get with it. And in other Nindroids, you'll see that maybe it comes with less stuff, and so then the price is a little lower. These are Bandai Chibi Arts. They don't make these anymore, I found out recently. This is another line, kind of similar style, with like little interchangeable faces and bodies and poses. I'm not sure of the price point with these ones. I want to say they're around like similar Nindroid parts.
I've never seen these before.
No?
No.
Oh, Daniel's like a huge fan of the chibi arts.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's always like showing me
from
chibi
Bandai?
arts. It's Bandai.
And it's interchangeable?
I believe they're interchangeable. I don't have any.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's another line, Figma. This is by Max Factory. Max Factory is one of our sister companies that we work with really closely. These are our line of like posable figurines. So they have, as well with these ones, interchangeable faces, but the interchangeable faces are only between like that particular character. So it'll be, because it's like kind of certain figures, like the face shape will be different. So, you couldn't take like Konata's face and put it on Haruhi, because Konata's face is going to be like a lot bigger because of the art style. But Konata will come with like interchangeable faces of her own that you can switch out. There are some option parts that you can like finagle with between them. So you can give like, a whole bunch of different weapons to like Homura, just to, play around with her because she's fun like that. But these ones are really fun if you're really good at like posing and you like playing with your figurines. And then as well, I have Figma Nanoha here that we'll be giving away. So if anybody likes Figmas, that's there. Then there's prize figures. Prize figures are really fun. These are really great if you're just getting started into like figure collecting and you're looking for like, you want a bigger scaled figure because these guys are going to be like about this big, and you don't want to pay the crazy amount of money that it's going to cost for like a super well detailed figure. These ones, the poses are going to be a little bit kind of simpler. Also the paint and the sculpt will be a lot lower in quality. The one thing that I do definitely kind of urge fans to remember is that these figures are sold in Japan for about 1,500 yen, and with current exchange rate, that's about like $11 to $12. And you'll see people will like import them and then like bring them to conventions here and sell them to you for like $60 to $80.
Are they like more harder to get compared to?
They're it's one of those that they're by far the easiest to get when they're like in Japan, and you can find them online if you know where to look. And so they're easy to find. The only thing is that because they're prize figures, they also have limited runs. So maybe, for example, these panty and stocking ones will be a little harder to find here in the US, but we'll give you guys some websites to check out that you can find them a lot more easier at a much more reasonable price. So when you see one of like these kind of lower quality figures and you're like, oh sweet, I'm gonna buy a Madoka figure and it's only costing me $65, like, make sure that you know it's like, if it's like a Sega prize figure, like that's a little too much that you're paying right there. That's the other thing that I will definitely urge you guys. Always know what you're gonna buy before you buy it. I'm sure everybody here has a magical device attached to them at all times called a cell phone. These have internet on them now. I'm amazed at the technology, and you have the internet in the palm of your hands, and you can find out immediately, like, if there's a bootleg of that figure out, how much it cost, when did it come out, even from, like, people talking about, like, oh my god, this figure is impossible to find. Last time I saw it, it cost this much money. Or you'll see somebody going like, oh yeah, I'm selling this figure for $2 because I don't want it anymore, and it's brand new. So definitely know what you're going to buy before you buy it. Then you go into PVC figures, which are going to be a little bit more on the upscaled kind of type. These are going to have a lot more detail to them. They're going to be a little bit more expensive. The HMO Miku, not HMO Miku, it's Miku, it's drawn by the same guy who did Orimo. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but this particular Miku, like she's maybe about like $60 to $70 retail. The Yu-Gi-Oh one is a Kotobukiya figure, so he's like about $50-something ish, if I remember off the top of my head. So they're going to be a little bit more expensive, but the quality of them is going to be significantly better than the prize figures. These are the ones that like you see and you just immediately start drooling and you're like, oh my god, I need
I
this.
still remember my first PVC.
Yeah.
It's actually a Saber.
Saber?
Yeah, and it's just kind of one of those things that just lasts forever. You know, the color might change a little bit because I put it next to my window.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll talk about that. Don't do that. But we didn't know that. We didn't know that when we started.
We were noobs.
We were noobs. Then there's cold cast. Cold cast is another type of material that they make figures out of. They used to make cold cast figures all the time. Like this was the thing that you bought, like figures to be made out of, because originally the factories could not make PVC figures, like plastic figurines, in the quality, in the sculpt and the detail that they wanted, and you had to use cold cast. Now, the technology has like improved vastly. So you can do so many things with PVC, so you have less people making cold cast. The other thing with cold cast, they are incredibly fragile. I can take a PVC figure and drop it on the floor. It's most likely going to be fine. If I drop one of these, it's going to shatter and you'll cry, because these are also a lot more expensive. But you'll also see, I don't know if you guys can notice the Ray, like for scale, there's 2 Xboxes behind her and she's still bigger than the Xboxes. So she's really big. She's like if the table is like the floor, she's like this big. We bought that in Japan, like our first trip to Japan, and I carried that onto the plane. And like they're just like, all the flight attendants are just staring at me with like this big giant figure of Rey, and they're like, oh god, this is otaku. And I'm like, yeah, this is my score. And they were like, do you want me to take that? And I'm like, this is cold cast, you're not prying it from my hands. And so they made me put it in the overhead compartment, and I'm just like, this better fit. And I go, and it like fit by like this much, and I was like sliding it in, and finally I get it in, and all the flight attendants, I realize, are like standing behind me, and they start applauding me because I got it in, and they were like, "Sugoi!" And I'm like, "Yay!" But yeah, these ones, they're also a lot more pricier because the cold cast material, it's a lot more difficult process to make these figures. Like I said, they really don't do it that often anymore, but sometimes you'll see it and it'll say it's made out of cold cast. And like, if you're buying it from somebody online, make sure it's like a reputable dealer, because like you may want to make sure they send that like, super EMS, like we are going to baby carry this to your house, because otherwise like that, it just might arrive shattered. I've had it to happen to a couple people online.
Did you have to do the colors yourself?
No, these ones are already painted. Yeah, everything that we're talking about is already pre-painted and assembled and ready to go. Because I'll be honest, I know nothing about model kits and resin kits. I can't paint anything at all. I can barely paint the wall in my bedroom. It's like, oh, that's 2 colors now. I don't know what I did. It's supposed to be the same color. Okay. Then there's some fun things. This is an older thing that Good Smile did years ago that I like to bring up just because it's a fun thing that we got to do. When the tsunami hit in Japan, Japan's really like, they don't do charity like in the way that we do here, that, you know, we're like, we've got the Red Cross and donate blood. Like in Japan, you can't get people to donate blood. Like, it's impossible. They're like, no, this is my blood, you're not taking it from me.
That's why they did the saber flyer.
Yeah.
You saw that?
Mm-hmm. And so they did this thing where to try and get people to donate to the Japanese Red Cross, what Good Smile did is that they released these special edition figures that were Cheerful Japan. And so it was various figures and characters dressed up as like cheerleaders to be like, you know, kampare, boom, kind of deal. And a percentage of the money that came from these all went to the Japanese Red Cross. So that was something really interesting that they did. But I always like bringing it up because it's like, oh, that's something cool. These ones sadly, like, they're way out of print because this happened, like, the tsunami happened like forever ago now, so they don't make these anymore. Another thing that I will definitely want to mention, which is why I'm going to bring up pre-orders like so specifically hard with you guys, that a lot of people don't know. When a figure is released, it's already out of print. Like, the moment that it's like, oh sweet, this figure, I can buy it in the store, it's out of print already. All figures are made in like a pre-order window, and then like they open it up for pre-orders, all the retailers and like the fans will go and they pre-order, and then the company will be like, okay, sweet, we have X amount of orders that we've taken. Let's add, you know, Y amount for the retailers, and then we're gonna make the figure, and then we're gonna send it out, and then that's it. We're not making that figure again. So, you know, if you guys come to me later and you're like, oh yeah, do you guys still make that Miku figure that with the pom-poms? Nope. Nope. Won't make it, don't make it. Already out of print. So sometimes, really rare occasions, we'll do re-releases. Other companies sometimes will do a re-release, but the demand has to be like crazy high. But like, we've had a lot of instances where like recently, Menma from Anohana, she had a Nindroid. This is super cute Nindroid, and impossible to find. And so people started commenting on like every post on our Facebook. Like, it wasn't the same person, it was multiple people. Like, I'd be like, hey, check out this Nindroid Kirito, and they'd be like, I want Nindroid Menma. Like, every comment. And there'd be like 30 comments, and I was like, yeah, screw this, Nindroid Menma. So then at a certain point I was like, hey, like calling my boss, like, so everybody's getting like really upset, and they're like, why? And they're like, all the comments are they want Nindroid Menma. And they're like, really? And like, I'm giving them all this information of like, you know, every time you guys post on like, you make a blog post, you just post on Reddit, you just post on Twitter, you post on our Facebook, on Tumblr. Like, my life is living on the internet finding that stuff. And so like, I'll take it to Japan and be like, there was like 2,000 people in a week who all said they want Nindroid Menma, and they'll be like, well, let's think about it. And then they re-release it, and then they come back to me and they're like, oh my God, Francis, it was the best idea you've ever had. And I'm like, I know, I'm awesome. In reality, it's all you guys who've just been like harassing me. And like, that's what you need to do. Don't like really harass me, but like, you know, tell your friends, like, comment on this page, I want a re-release of this figure. And then sometimes it happens. With super limited stuff, like maybe these ones in particular, it's a little bit more difficult. Because, you know, these kind of went to a good cause, but like all the kind of Japan's over it, without saying, that sounds mean, but like that's how Japan is. Like, they're like, oh yeah, that's old news, you know, it's all good there now, we're all fixed up, Japan. So they'll be like, yeah, why re-release it? So, you know, maybe if there's like a super huge demand, you know, maybe we can do it, but it's really difficult sometimes. Definitely I want to touch on figure cleaning and maintenance. When you have figures, you want to definitely try and maintain them. Dusting them every once in a while is going to be the best way to kind of maintain them and make sure that you don't have to do any heavy-duty cleaning. But, you know, who are we that I have like 600 something figures. I can't dust that like once a week. Like, I'm just gonna take 3 days to dust all my figures. Okay, it's a week again, let's do that again. No, so it's a little more difficult. For dusting though, I definitely suggest, like, if you have like a couple figures, like those things of canned air that you can buy at like Fry's or Best Buy to like clean out your laptop, those work really well. Or if you have like an air compressor, my dad had like a giant one when I lived with my family, so I just like turn that on and bring all my figures downstairs and clean them. You can just take like a wet paper towel and kind of just wash it on there. I do get a lot of questions a lot of times of like, my figure's really dirty, how do I clean it? Soap and water. Light soap, cold water, not like freezing water, you know, like lukewarm, and just like dry it with a paper towel or like a soft microfiber cloth, and no big deal.
And one of the funny things, a couple of years ago, I was trying to clean one of my figures, and I used hot water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, don't use hot water. So what ended up happening was that the surface of the PVC got melt a little bit,
Yeah.
and all the dust just stays there.
Oh, yeah. Don't use hot water.
Yeah.
Cold water's good. Like, you know, lukewarm room temperature's good, but anything hot or excessive, oh yeah, don't do that. Definitely things to avoid: direct sunlight. Don't put your figures by a windowsill. Sunlight is quite dangerous, and it will start fading the paint. Sunlight does that to everything, so you know, figures are not immune to that. Excessive heat, I've seen people put them like right beside their computer towers, and you know, computers get really hot. So anything like that, or like you wouldn't want to put your figure like, I'm gonna display it near the stove. Like, you know, that's not a good idea. Little kids and animals, I have horror stories about cats and figures, and like an ex that had this beautiful figure of Etna from Biscaya by Max Factory that is impossible to find, and the cat chewed all the hair off. And it was like, oh, this figure's so rare and expensive, and it's destroyed. And then, you know, certain little kids, I have some nieces and nephews that are just like, you have a lot of stuff, and then they don't touch it because they're like, it's not mine and I'm gonna get in trouble. And then other kids that are like, oh, what's this? Ah! And I'm like, no, don't touch my things. Again, electronics, you know, some electronics get hot, so you don't want to put them directly beside. I like showing this photo as a don't do this. I've seen this. This will melt them. You will find eventually just this nice pool of PVC eventually if you have this as your display. Don't do this. This is bad. So sometimes, you know, gravity takes a hold of figures, and sometimes they lean. This is actually something that doesn't really happen anymore with newer figures. This happened a lot of time back in the day, like definitely when Charles and I started collecting. It would be like, oh crap, my figure's leaning.
You know, one of the funny things I find out to fix those leaning, it's you know, every year, of course, summertime. If your figure leans this way, you just kind of have to, you know,
Pose it the other way.
Pose the other way.
Yeah.
And after the summer is done, your figure kind of go back to the way that it was. Yeah, it's pretty helpful, and I think it's more natural.
Yeah, that way's a little bit more natural. If you have a slight lean, that's good. If you've kind of got like, you know, what these girls have got going on, that they're really bad, there's a couple of tricks that are like, there's a hot water style. You want to wash your figure first. Make sure you don't embed the dust into the figure. But what I like to do is I'll get like a big pot and like boil water, and then like right as the water turns to a boil, turn off the water, let it cool down for like a minute, and then you kind of dip your finger in it, but like kind of deal. Like you don't want to just let it sit there and be like, oh, figure stew. No, like just for a little bit, and then you'll feel that the PVC will become a little bit pliable, and so you'll be able to kind of bend it back into shape. And then what you want to do is, what I do is I'll like have the sink like plugged up, and I have it with cold water, and then I'll kind of dip the figure in cold water to kind of set it, and that will help. But the thing is that with older figures, once they start leaning, the issue is that they're always going to lean. So a fix will always be temporary. It will never be a permanent solution. There are people online who will tell you like, oh, you can like drill a pin into the figure here and it'll stop it. And I've done that, and then the figure still leaned, and then the pin broke through the leg. And so then I had a giant hole in my saber figure, so don't do that. That works for resin kits. And those are like a different material, so don't do that for PVC. And the reason that they lean is that before, when people started making figures, they didn't consider the center of gravity within that figure. Everything has a center of gravity, and it has a way that it's staying up. And so if the figure has lost its center of gravity and is now leaning, unless you're like, I don't know, like some physics professor, then maybe you'll be able to figure out like the perfect angle to fix it at to put it back. But otherwise, its center of gravity is just always going to make it fall again. Nowadays, figure companies, like, they actually pay attention to that. They have like teams in there who are like, they super test things, and they have like scientific calculations. They're super smart. I don't know how they do this. I'm just sitting there like, herp derp, I know Facebook. Let me talk about figures. And they're like, we're gonna make it scientific so it doesn't lean. And then they've also been like updating the type of PVC that goes into like the legs part so that it stays more stiff and then it doesn't lean. So that's an issue that you won't have to deal with like newer figures. It's only an issue that's really been within like figures like maybe 5-6 years ago. So if you got older figures, you know, maybe that's an issue, but not so much anymore. Another thing that'll happen is that your figures might get sticky. This happens for 2 reasons. One, you've kept it in the box. This is another common misconception. Anime figures do not retain their value if you keep them in the box forever. You'll actually damage them. They need to be exposed to oxygen, so you gotta open them up and display them, and you know, you wanna play with them, and they're cute and they're pretty. So if you've got, you know, a whole set of figure collection and they're just boxed up in your closet, go home and open those because you might be ruining them right now. And what'll happen is that the PVC will discolor. I've seen figures that will turn just like a horrible shade of green, and you're like, that's not supposed to be that color. And then they will also get like really sticky because, again, they're not being exposed to oxygen. And so you want to open them up. If they do get sticky, you can clean them. And again, just soap and water. A nice solution if they're super sticky is like get like a little plastic Tupperware bin and just water with like little soapy water. Soap, nothing too harsh, like, you know, a mild dish soap that your mom won't mind, like washing dishes without gloves on kind of deal.
Actually, what do you think about hair dryers?
Hair dryers? Hair dryers? Okay, Japan will show you. Like, they will, like, show you, like, little tutorials, and they'll be like, oh, use a hair dryer. In Japan, hair dryers are, like, super weak. Like, you'll sit there for, like, 45 minutes, and it's like, my hair is still soaking wet. And here, hair dryers now are, like, you turn it on, and it's like, oh, God, like, that was my hair is immediately dry. That was, like, 1,000,000 degrees. So, American hair dryers are, like, way too dangerous, because they get too hot too quickly, and then you'll burn the PVC. Like, you'll see it, like, it'll start, like, changing color, and then you're seeing that you're burning the figure right then. So don't use a hair dryer, because it's too dangerous. Yeah, I've seen, like, people, like, in Japan, they'll sit there, they'll be like, oh, yeah, use a hair dryer. And I'm like, yeah, maybe if you're Japanese, but not American hair dryers. They are way too powerful and scary. Then I want to talk a little bit about bootlegs. Bootlegs are bad. Bootlegs, they're bad for like so many reasons. The main reason is, obviously, you know, you have these people in China who are just, yeah, wave Charles. It's all your fault. You're Chinese. I blame you for all bootlegs. It's fine. I make fun of Charles all the time, but Charles makes fun of me. We love each other, right?
Yeah.
That's why China's so broken, man.
Yeah, I know we are.
But what they do is they steal the mold or they steal the original figure, and then they make a copy of it, and then they're selling these like lower quality figures. And the thing is that every time that we make a figure, percentage of that not only goes to the amazing sculpting team, you know, the planning team at the figure companies that are working so hard to make you these figures, but they also go to the original creators. You know, every time you buy a figure, like a percentage of that goes to the license holder. So, you know, if in essence, if you love like Madoka, the best way to support Madoka is buying official merchandise, you know? And so if you're buying that bootleg, your money is not going to the people who made Madoka, and they're going to turn around and go, oh, I guess nobody liked Madoka because nobody bought our figures. And then you have a whole bunch of people being like, we love Madoka, look at our bootleg figures. And they're like, oh, well, we didn't get any of that money, we're going under, we're not making any more anime.
Did you know that the bootleg factory, for like your company, it's actually a couple blocks away?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's crazy. They're super close by. And like, it's terrifying. I have like the best story I love to tell. When I first started working for Good Smell Company, I was talking to the CEO, and he was asking me like what I thought about bootlegs, and I was like, I hate them. And he was like, yeah, I'm so glad you hate them too. And he was telling me the story about how in China, what they'll do is that they'll go into the factory and they'll go to the people who have the molds and they'll threaten them. Like, you give me this mold or I'm gonna kill you. Or like, I'm gonna kill your dog or something stupid. And what the factory had done to try and counteract that was they said, if you don't give the mold and instead you report this guy to the police because this is illegal, we'll give you a bonus. And so they started doing that. And so this guy had come by and he was like shady, like Japanese mob type. And so he's threatening for the mold, and they call the cops, and they arrest him. Turns out this guy is Chinese mob, and has, like, wanted for murdering, like, super high officials in China. So they immediately take him, arrest him, like, trial, and, kill him. They were like, you're done. And so then the Chinese mob was like, Good Smile got him murdered. So then they got so upset, they put out a hit on the CEO of Good Smile Company, Aki-san. So he can't go to the factory in China. And the biggest issue that happened is that one of the guys who worked at the factory happened to kind of sort of look like Aki-san. And so one day he's leaving the factory, like leaving to go back home, and he's walking to his car, and these guys come up and like total like scary movie thing, like they drive up in a van, jump out, a whole bunch of guys with swords, hack the guy up, and like chop off his arm and leave him for dead and then drive off. Because they think this is president of Good Smell Company. So then, there's a whole commotion. All sorts of people from the factory like run outside. They're like, holy crap, like this guy's almost dead. Rush into the hospital. They're able to save the guy, reattach his arm. He's fine. He actually still works for Good Smell Company. And like, literally, like, the president of Good Smell Company was like, here's a raise, and I'm sorry you look like me. And so now it's like if he wants to go to the factories, like he has to like have a disguise and like a wig and sunglasses and like dress like completely different so that they don't think that it's him. And then they had to like eventually they move the factory to like a completely different city. And then still like the bootleg factories follow them because that's what they do. But these are these guys are terrifying, and these are who you're giving your money to if you buy a bootleg. You are giving them to criminals who are literally trying to kill the people who are making these amazing products for you. Like, it's terrifying. So don't buy bootlegs. Now, obviously, we understand sometimes you might not know that you're buying a bootleg. So definitely the things that you'll want to look out for are check the quality. So you want to really definitely like inspect the box, inspect the figure. One of the things that I really like to stress for people, especially if you're buying like a Good Small product, if it's like a Figma or an Nindroid, if you like shake the box, everything inside the box is going to stay right where it is. Like a bootleg one, you'll see that like all the parts are just kind of flinging around inside of the box, and like arms might be flailing off and the heads might be just like hanging out around the back side of the box. Our products never do that. The other thing you'll definitely want to look at, and this is with every figure company, the photos in the back of the box are always going to be like crisp and beautiful, not pixelated, well printed. If it's even like a little bit like, it's a little pixelated, it's a little blurry, like, I don't know, like just walk away, don't even trust it. A lot of figure companies will have licensing stickers, different markings that you can definitely check to make sure if it's official or not. Some of the companies will have, I'll give you guys examples of some of the stickers. Oh, and I want to show you guys one of the more famous bootlegs. This is Seder. I love Seder. This is the only bootleg I think every figure collector wants to
Did they
get their hands on.
actually release an official one of
This-
Satan in Japan?
This one, no.
No?
No.
Okay, alright.
Yeah. There's a figure that it kind of looks like, but the original figure that it looks like is like this big, and Seder's like this big. So, you know, apparently like this came with like a game bundle in China, and but like a bootleg game bundle. That's what I heard last. There's always different rumors as to how Seder like came upon the world, but she's pretty horrible. So some of the things that you can definitely tell with bootlegs, so you guys can see here some of these are a little bit more clear, some of them not so much. You can tell with like Luca, the ones with the red text are official, and the ones with the blue text are bootleg. So like Luca, the blue one, you can see that the coloring's just really off, like her hair's not supposed to be a grayish pink, it's supposed to be a deeper pink. You can see with maybe like Miku on the bootleg, her face is really shiny. That's definitely going to be like a #1 deterrent. If you see a figure and the face is shiny at all, just walk away. Figure companies, every figure company now is super like on point with like, we are going to use a matte paint for the face and maybe shiny for like the clothes, but definitely not the face. Another dead giveaway with these ones that most people might not know right off the bat is that you'll notice the bootlegs are keychains, and that the original figures are not keychains. Nindroid Petites were never released as keychains, so if you ever see one as a keychain, it's bootleg. So those will be definitely things that you'll want to check out. And it's noticing the little details, like if you look with all of them, their eyes are really bad, like the pupils aren't drawn on right, and one of the definite things that you'll want to know with figure companies is that it isn't one of those that, oh, it doesn't really look like the prototype photo, you know, but that's all right. No, figures will look almost exactly like the prototype photo, so if it's even a little bit off, you just want to step away, run away from that. These are going to be the stickers I was telling you guys about. So some figures, some of the more higher and pricey ones, will come with an H Japan holographic sticker on it. So if you're buying like a really big figure of like Rin Tosaka from Fate Stay Night, you know, and it's the Good Smile Company one, it'll have the sticker on there for sure. The other thing that is just a good thing to try and learn if you're going to get really into heavy into figure collecting is knowing the different licensing companies and what companies that each figure would be under. So for example, there's a figure on the bottom one in the middle that says TM, and that's for Type Moon. So if you buy anything that's like Fate Stay Night, Melty Blood, it's all Type Moon, so it'll have that sticker on it. If you buy anything that is from like Nitro Plus, and they're the ones who make like Dramatical Murder or Sonico, it'll have the one that says approval